I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I'm Sam, a Browns fan, and that's Matt, a Steelers fan, and this is Opposing Sides, where we're here to talk about some hard nosed football. It's been an interesting off season this season as we get ready for our big draft day here in a couple days. Matt, how has the Steelers off season been for you?
Well, I would say that it's been fairly, simple. They haven't done a whole lot, but then again, they never really do a whole lot either. So they filled in a couple spots, but we still have a couple that we need to fill in here in the draft. And what better place to do it than in the Berg? So
Yeah, I'm interested in what you guys are going to do with the draft. I think that there's a lot of interesting things you guys can do, but I think that we're both in very similar boats. I think what I really liked about what you guys did in the offseason was picking up Michael Pittman. That's a guy I've always had a lot of respect for. He's got a great body. He has always been a very reliable receiver, and I think that is a pretty stellar pick for you guys, especially where you seem to have struggled during the season last year in 2025.
I would agree entirely with that. And obviously, I think there's been a lot of people that could throw a little bit of shade at our wide receiver room for going and trading away what we did to get DK, and pretty much all he gave us was fist fights with the fans. So having I would say, a more mature wide receiver in the room to actually have the young ones probably end up drafting up to, I think that's a better outlook than just having DK as the moral pinnacle in that room there.
Yeah, and
Um,
you guys have definitely had your fair share of guys with interesting moral quandaries.
that's definitely fair. I would say, I don't want to say the best pickup for you guys this offseason, but definitely I like the movements that you've done on the offensive line. You've really set yourself up to pretty much take whatever you can in the draft. Whatever falls to you, you can choose between that. So,
Oh yeah, I
um,
mean, I think one that we talked about quite a bit when it happened was you were even hoping that the Steelers would pick up Elton Jenkins from the
yeah,
Packers, and we luckily beat you guys to the punch there. But what a stellar pickup for either team would have been. But definitely a good idea for the Browns to actually get something at center, just because as much as I like Luke Whippler at center, he just hasn't shown enough that makes me say, wow, I'm so happy to have him as my starter. Ethan Pochik brought so much normality to that. What I'll just say is a terrible 2025 offensive line. Um, and so I think this adds that little bit of, veteran experience. Yeah, Luke Whippler isn't a rookie anymore, but he's still on that rookie contract. And I think he needs a little bit more to back him up.
right, right. Well, and he's young, and a lot of your I don't say your leadership necessarily, but a lot of that guidance is going to go through the center of your line anyway. And it's always better to have somebody that has been there, played the game, especially knows the playbook to kind of root your offensive line in and work around. So
And a guy who's worked with a young team, a
definitely.
team like Green Bay has had. I mean, look at its offense; has one of the youngest offenses in the league. Hell, I think their oldest person on their, at least in their skills positions, is Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, even I think he just got on his second contract, third contract, maybe.
I think it's his second because Las Vegas didn't want to pay him for some reason, especially coming
He's a
off of
running
that.
back, that's
Oh,
why.
it is. But coming off that crazy season he had in Las Vegas, it was sad to see him go to a different team. But a great thing for him because he got to go to an actual contender, compared to Las Vegas.
Sure, sure.
So I think a big thing that everybody, especially in both of our wheelhouses, talked about is the change in coaches. We've gone back and forth a little bit in private about both of our feelings on our coaching transitions, but I really want to. I haven't picked your brain a whole lot about your guys' pickup of Big Mike McCarthy.
So I think it's very ironic. really what both of the franchises have done in that decision because Pittsburgh, they're very blue collar. They don't like to do a whole lot of change, that kind of stuff. And they pretty much kept the same vibe with the coach, where like Mike McCarthy's always kind of just been that. He's a very simple. He's a Pittsburgher himself. Um, but he's pretty much just the offensive version of it. And if I'm being honest, if he can give us some kind of offense that we haven't had in the last maybe 12 years, I'll take it because our defense is already half built as long as it can kind of sustain itself. And with Patrick Graham, our new defensive coordinator that's being brought in, he is kind of one of those guys around the league that like has never been given that position yet. He's been come up into a lot of different talks of taking defensive coordinator position, but he hasn't really gotten it yet. So he's played 3-4, he's played 4-3, he's played other stuff around. Uh, he really just kind of does what he can with what he's got, which you guys did a couple years ago, and it kind of really worked out. So
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely you find a guy who wants to play your style of defense, and I know we have suffered from it a bit, going back and forth between defensive schemes. Changing between 4-3 and 3-4. I um, I really wonder what your guys' plan is. I mean, especially with aging on your guys' front, you know,
right,
of your line. What is the plan moving forward? And I don't see anything changing really, especially in the um, superstar category. There, I think TJ's got a lot of time left, and I think he's gonna still be doing his scary pass rush. But you know, there's some things that we've been talking about with like Alex Highsmith.
hmm
Um,
he just got put on the trade block here in the last few days.
and that's understandable, you know. Um,
When you got Herbig sitting behind him, the only risk that I would have about that would be the fact that Herbig has been a little bit injury prone. He's gotten a little bit banged up these last few seasons. Um, but you know, if you have depth on the edge, you can kind of deal with that anyway. Just go get a vet or something after the draft, or maybe get an undrafted free agent. I haven't looked at a whole lot of the free agents that are left on the edge or in this draft. I've heard it's not a very deep edge draft, but I haven't done a
um,
whole lot of research into that.
I mean, obviously, at the top there are some really great edge defenders. Um, there's a couple I have later in my mock draft that I can bring up on that position, but for sure, I think your guys' line is very solid. It's just what could you add to really put it back to where it was, a couple years ago.
Right. Yeah, and my this is probably a bad view, but in my perspective, I think the pass rushers are very in this generation. I don't want to say dime a dozen, but I feel like it's definitely a lot easier to get a good quote unquote pass rusher specializer than it is to get a 350-pound dude that can run a 4-4 to stick in the middle. They can stop runs and can get the quarterback.
Oh,
That's those are unicorns.
for sure. You need the guys like a big one for me. I mean, I talked about him a lot this season, especially after he got picked up by the Browns. Was Malik Collins when
hmm
the Niners let him go and the Browns got him? I was super into the idea of him being a game changer, and when he was healthy on the team, I mean, he made the center of the line nearly impenetrable. I mean, he was just a power at the run stop, you know. And I'm hoping there's a chance that he will come back healthy and come back to the Browns, but we're still kind of in that man's recovering from a pretty hard injury, so we'll
Right, right.
we'll see how that goes. Um,
That's kind of how we are with Project Drones. As far as I've gathered over the last few days that I've seen, actually, they interviewed uh, Omar Khan and Mike McCarthy about it this morning, I believe it was, either this morning or yesterday, and they straight up jumped out past the question. They jumped out before anybody could ask a question. They said, we'll talk about Broderick Jones. They basically don't know when he's going to get better or if he'll get better, was almost the exact quote. So we might not have a left tackle going into that, which could really shake up this draft plan.
Well, and I feel for you guys on that sense, especially with the JOK stuff. It
Yeah.
seems like he has this desire to want to come back and play football, and yet nobody has a straight answer. You know, it's he can't, he could, he would, he would like to, but there's still nothing on that side. And I think that's what led to like the pickup of Quincy,
Hmm.
which I mean, as much as he's been a great player on a bad team, I wanted the Browns to draft him. You know, I thought that he was going to be a Brown, and sadly he went to the Jets instead, and that's a whole other can of worms. But
Sure.
needing stuff in the linebacker position for us, we have defensive rookie of the year, but you let Devin Bush go. You don't have the guys like Jordan Hicks to fall on anymore because they retired. He retired. Um,
Hmm.
and so now you have to look into that. And in my mock draft, I really don't have them taking a linebacker. If they do, it's going to be later, but more focused on like defensive back and lineman and stuff. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the Browns' transition at quarter or at coach. I'm I am part of me is sad, that Kevin Stefanski's gone. That was
Sure.
that was a huge breakthrough in my, Browns football analytics side of like you can see the changes happening before your very eyes. This isn't Hugh, this isn't Freddie, this isn't, it felt like very different football.
He's
And
he's one of the few coaches you guys have had in the last 2 decades where it actually felt like he got a little bit of traction and was able to pick up some momentum,
yeah,
really.
he got a little bit of motion. And he he really just he I feel like he at the time had elevated the team, but he I feel like at the end he got stuck in his own ways, and he is still a good coach, and I hope he has um a lot more to give, especially to Atlanta. I think he's going into a another odd situation. But there's a lot of pieces around that team that could um, get them higher in their own division. I mean that division's really up for grabs. As much as I love Baker, I think Baker is probably the best quarterback, obviously, in that division right now. But um, it just depends on the rest of it. You don't have Mike Evans there anymore, so we'll see how that goes. But with Todd Monken becoming the new head coach, I feel like it is going to be a complete change in both atmosphere and in um I can't think of the word, but I think it's just going to change the overall view of the team. I've seen some interviews where guys like
Culture.
culture, thank you, that's the word. Changing cultures is the big one. Um,
Yeah.
I've
I'm
seen,
very interested to see how he affects that team because I feel like he carries himself a very different way than
oh yeah,
the other coaches we've had.
I mean, dropping f bombs and stuff like that in interviews. He seems like he has a lot of heart in the game, and he's coming back to a team that, especially at that time, in I mean, that's Baker Mayfield's worst season um, as a starter. 2019 is that kind of outlier season for him, but Kevin was calling the plays. There's a lot of distractions going on at that point. It's it is a very tumultuous time for the Browns. Sophomore. You could say anything you want about a sophomore slump, but
What would a
it
Cleveland season be without
turmoil.
things to yeah, I was gonna say things to take you away from actual football.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in the last 5 years. Um, but I think it's kind of a redemption arc for Todd. He finally gets to be a head coach. He deserves the job. As much as I would have loved Coach Schwartz to come and move up, it's just a different thing you need, and I'm sad to see Coach Schwartz go, but I think Todd Monken has a good idea of what he wants to do. I think my biggest thing I'm interested in is that he is bringing with him George Warhop, who obviously was the
This is the
Ravens
line coach, right?
line. Yeah, this is the line coach. He was the Ravens line coach, but before that, he was the line coach for guys like Joe Thomas, and I feel like he has great developmental skills. That obviously Joe Thomas is a generational talent when it comes to offensive linemen. But I feel like he was aided by guys like George Warhop who were able to develop him. And so
Absolutely.
he also was the coach for Titus Howard, which bringing him in the offseason probably was the best of the lineman pickups. As much as like I praised Elton Jenkins, um, Zion Johnson's a band aid at the end of the day. Um, I think truly George Warhop will be able to develop guys like free agent Tevin Jenkins, who we had for a little bit, decided to bring him back for this season. I feel like he was the only part of that cobbled together Browns line that I even enjoyed. Seeing him be able to pancake a guy and actually pick up a block, unlike guys like Cornelius Lucas and KT Leviston, who were false starts and blocking ghosts most of the time. I think that George Warhop will be able to help develop him more and whoever else we're going to pick up along the way in this draft.
Right. I can agree with that, and I can jump onto the offensive linemen, like I guess the comparisons of them. So I did see a mock the other day that had you guys taking Caden Proctor,
Oh yeah,
who is almost physically like he's a spitting image of Zion Johnson. He's pretty much built the same way, if not a little bit bigger. Um, so I thought that was very interesting, seeing that one, you've already signed one guy that has that kind of fit and set in your offense, and then possibly dropping and getting one of those that might be around the 10 to 12 spot, roughly.
yeah,
So
and you never know what's gonna happen. You know what the heck
sure,
we're gonna do, but we can move into that.
yeah,
So as we move into this draft, there's a lot of things that I feel like each of our teams need, but I also feel like there's a lot of wild cards in there. And every draft has their who picked that guy? What was that? And then people actually go and look at their footage. Guys like Carson Schlesinger. I heard a lot of flack at first. People all over, who the heck is this guy? And then they went and saw the footage and they realized that, oh, this dude is a dog right out of college, and look where he took himself. Um,
yeah,
but
that dude's a bad guy.
I think going into this draft, something a lot of people are talking about, but I think both of us are on the same page with both of our teams. Of people keep talking about quarterback. Um, I'm in on our side of the boat. I'm not really worried about that. Um, I don't think you need to add more to it at this point. I think we're going to just deal with this quarterback battle, and I think we're going to see who comes out on top. I do believe it's going to be um, number two. Obviously, now he changed his number, but I think it's going to be Shadur comes out on top. Um, but we'll see. You never know. Could somehow Deshaun Watson come off of this, you know, cobbled together injury list and be the guy that he was in Texas all those years ago? Crazier shit's happened. But
I
I'm
think that if they put out their initial like depth chart at the beginning of training camp and all that stuff, and Watson is over Shadur, Cleveland might burn to the ground.
I agree. I think that they'll light the stadium on fire. I really do. Um,
I don't think they'll be able to handle that if they see, let alone the name, because obviously he's going to be on the depth chart. But if he ends up being one just because of like seniority, veteran status, being on the team for longer, that no, there's no way. And especially with Todd Monken being in there, I wouldn't even see that happening. But
well, and how much he wanted Shirter too.
Sure, sure. Well, and the reason why I say that is because I know it's happened here with Pittsburgh quite a few times. When Kenny got drafted initially, he was number two, I want to say, and obviously he didn't start. They took him some time to do it, but as soon as it came out and he was like, I think third or fourth on the depth chart, everybody immediately was like, "He's a bust. He's a bust. First round bust. Trash." Like, he didn't even play yet. You
Yeah,
cut him some slack.
I mean, he has a winning record,
I was just
and
saying, and
he.
granted, I'm not even that much of a defender of Kenny Pickett, but he did do his part. We didn't have much of an offense at the time,
And
so
I mean, the guy got to play in a Super Bowl for Christ's sakes.
yeah. So did
It's
Brian Hoyer.
so did Brian Hoyer, and you know what? There are certain guys who, like Kenny, like Brian, like Colt McCoy, can ride a bench and just rake in money for their football careers and make millions of dollars by just being the next best guy up. Look at guys like Josh Dobbs. I mean, the Pastronaut has gone from you guys to us. He's gone all over the board. And you know what? He's a guy that if he goes out there, he could throw three touchdowns like he did with the Vikings. He could also throw three interceptions, and that's just the kind of the luck of the draw you get. It's the Jameis Winston. It's the I don't know. There's a lot of different guys who could be there. I mean, Jacoby Brissett. As much as I have my gripes about him, he made the Cardinals look like a decent team. Um, my only problem with him
He
is
wants a
his
pay raise for
yeah.
that as well.
Yeah, you know what? Could he deserve it? I think he could. My problem with him is it's just his release is so slow.
I think I'd rather have Jacoby Brissett than Malik Willis.
Uh, and you know what? One game can't decide your future, and it seems like one kind of did for him. And you can only hope that the kid gets another shot. I mean, I think he went into a terrible situation in Tennessee, but that is not really an excuse, I guess, for
Well, I
some
mean,
people.
so did Will Levis,
So did Will Levis, and you know what? I mean, he's a great meme, but
and they pulled him quicker than they pulled Willis. They
yeah,
said, "Oh no."
yeah. I think it was the terrible interceptions for him.
Well, when in the modern day NFL, you can't afford to be a gunslinger anymore. That's what has gotten Josh Allen screwed out of basically every playoff chance he's got.
Yeah, that's
So
a
when you get Brett Favre in this modern day era, it's a risk to take to win. Sometimes you can do it, but it's always a risk.
well, and you don't get guys who can just rock throwing the rookie record for interceptions anymore. Teams are I feel like right now every NFL team is in a we must win now
Hmm.
mentality, and it just causes oh he had 3 games in a row he lost and he had mid stats. We're pulling him. We're gonna go with Kyler Murray. Ooh, we're gonna pick him up and we're gonna throw in Joe Flacco. You know, we're just gonna throw in the guy that we've seen do good. Let's see how he goes. Um,
You remember Sam Darnold?
hey,
Man,
that's
you remember when he got drafted?
yeah. I mean, Baker
Same
Mayfield
kind of
clowned him.
situation. Yeah, eventually it'll start happening once when Stafford retires and Flacco retires. We're gonna start seeing a lot more names rotating around these teams probably that nobody would have thought would be starting, and they might genuinely start games.
Yeah.
They're gonna get second chances. It'll happen.
So I guess I talked a lot about my quarterback situation. Yours I think is a lot more in the air of just what's going on. And, there's no timetable on Aaron at all. He hasn't said anything. He said they're not going to get anything before the draft. He's kind of just like hands off about the whole situation. And behind that, you have Mason Rudolph and Will Howard.
Mm.
So
So and this is both my personal belief and from all the different beat writers and stuff that are talking about it. It's Rogers will come if he wants to come. If not, it's it's Will. He's probably going to battle for the number one job. I would say eventually he'll probably take it from Mason Rudolph, just because I think Mason his physical ceiling is not very high. Um, but I do think that Will eventually take it, and realistically, we're probably going to end up saving up draft capital for next year and trying to take a quarterback higher, because I don't know if they take any of the quarterbacks this year, and if they do, they're gonna be late.
Yeah. I
Like Drew Aller is a possible. I got the pre-drafts here. We got Carson Beck from Miami, Cole Payton from North Dakota. Kind of smaller school type, not too special, but he definitely has physical talent. And then we have Talon Green from Arkansas. That dude's a killer. I was just watching him on Gruden's quarterback camp. He literally has the physical measurements of Calvin Johnson. He is
Jesus.
like 6'5", runs a 4.40. He has a ridiculous high jump. But he's a quarterback.
Huh.
So he's a draftable freak. And then they have Drew Aller, which I'm cool. I'm really cool on that. Don't want him.
Yeah, I don't have any trust in him, and we talked about it the one day of like, what if Ty Simpson fell, and there's the love hate, between what that pick could even entail. But
I'm only comfortable taking Ty maybe in the third. I could not give myself second round draft pick for him, just because I think that a
no,
lot of the
no,
meat and potatoes from this draft is in the second and third round. And I don't want to waste a pick on a quarterback like that
yeah,
there, because
and
I
you
don't think that he will win that job.
and you have a lot of picks, so you never know.
Yeah.
But outside of quarterback, really, I think for the Browns, everybody's talked about we need tackle and guard. I
Mhm.
think we need on both sides. Um, I think tackle is the highest priority. Guard, you can let it slide a while before you get a guard. When we get into our our boards later, I have a guard late, and there's opportunities throughout it. But outside of that, obviously, wide receiver is a must. Um, and then really, I think my next one is just cornerback or defensive backs, depending on what else you want to add on. But corner, I think there's a lot of great corner talent in this draft, and I
Mhm.
could see them taking uh, easily taking a day two corner. Um, Seeing that happen, I think is a pretty easy guarantee.
Corner talent's very interesting, because I feel like a lot of them this year are very specialized. They're very because there's only a couple outside corners that are really like, just put me out here and leave me just on an island kind. Mansour Dwayne, that dude's pretty nasty when it comes to that. Jermod McCoy is up there as well. But once you start getting past like the top maybe five or six ish, you start getting into like, oh, okay, well, that guy's a nickel. All
Yep.
right, that guy's a big nickel. That guy's a safety nickel. All right.
Well,
You
I
start
feel
seeing a
like
lot of that.
if you looked at the prospects for defensive linemen, especially obviously tackles, it's nose tackle, nose tackle, nose tackle, nose tackle. It's all, you know, I feel like it's the same thing, but for the Browns, a lot of them don't fit the scheme because they don't fit with that 4-3.
Well,
Uh,
and I was gonna say that about the way that our defenses are kind of set up. That having Malik with you, but then having like Alex Wright and Garrett, the way that they're built, they're, I don't want to say specifically better at just being defensive ends, but in that
yeah,
fit, they can kind of push their weight around. Whereas for us, like TJ, I want to say he's only like barely over 200. I want to say he's like 220. He's not super duper big when it comes to being able to actually move people. So if he's in the run game or something like that, like he really has to use his finesse and kind of just his brain of knowing where to get leverage at. So he can get washed out very easily.
he's 250.
He doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
He doesn't use it very well either, because he gets washed out a lot. Now there's a lot of times where he'll you know, his speed to get up around the other side and get off. He's not big. His run defense is more position. So when you come to our defense, you kind of have to play into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, so if you take TJ off, you've lost your pass rush, but now you might be able to bulk up a little and stop the run. It'd take up a couple more blocks. But
Well, and you can see him definitely, like you said, getting washed out. I've seen it where he just gets pressed to the outside so far that he's no longer in the play.
mhm,
But you also see him get the slip or just overpower a guy, and that's I think where he does his angle of attack really gets TJ over.
his bend is insane
Yeah,
for
I
as
mean,
old as he is.
oh yeah, you've seen plenty of it where he is, dude is at like a 60-degree angle, just getting torqued and beats his man.
Right.
Well, outside of um defensive linemen and whatever weird quarterback situation both of us are in, was there anything else that you guys would feel like you like needed going into this draft?
Definitely, we need a receiver. Um, there's so bad at the point of receiver where I wouldn't necessarily even be against double dipping later on and getting a second one later. But they're like we were saying with Broderick, it's to the point where we're starting to have more holes than we really need to have the picks to deal with comfortably. So, in the first round, I can really genuinely see us taking maybe I'm awful with the pronunciation of his name, but I want to say it's Benga Iowani. He's a guard at a Penn. Literally like the best scouted guard since Quentin Nelson. I could see them taking him if he slides, but there's been a lot of people linking him to Baltimore as well. Boo, boo, the
Boo,
Ratbirds.
boo.
Uh, so hopefully they don't take him. They also seen that they were linked to Makai Lemon, which I would like to get as well. So if they take one of those guys, maybe we'll get the other. Kind of depends.
I don't know. I don't know. You guys are 21.
Hmm.
I don't see Makai Lemon being there.
I
You
don't really either, but
you
a
would have
man can
to
hope.
claw your way up the ranks there, and you'd have to climb past Baltimore. And I
Well, once
just
again,
don't see that happening, especially with how bad
going
their receivers
going into
are.
this trade, or not the trade, the draft here. Um, Obviously, whenever we do our mock draft here in a little second, I assume you probably don't want to do any kind of trades or mess around
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah,
But
I think we'll do no
um,
trades, and then we could talk about trades later and how it could
mhm,
work out. I still have the value chart pulled up, but yeah, I think if we go into this mock draft, we're just fuck the trades.
right,
We're
right.
just, and especially with the simulator we use, some of it I don't want to talk about futures. I don't want to talk about what 27s, whatever. Like we're doing
You
the
start
here
getting a
and
little
now.
messy
It
there,
does
right?
because it's like what if I don't care. Kyler Murray became the Browns quarterback. I'd shoot myself. But
Yeah, as I say, I don't think we want that.
let's go into this mock draft finally. Um, Obviously, we're going to use this NFL mock draft database. I think this has such a good system. I really enjoy it. Um, there's your little hand.
It was it was for the most part doing its job. Like the only thing that I didn't really care for was the trade thing, but whatever.
So, do you want to do the full seven, or do you want to just do like a five? Because I feel like once you get into that, the sixes and seven, it's just kind of a whoever the hell's there, whatever, you know.
We can go up to 5 because I want to say even on that the trade value thing, it says yeah, no, like even the sixes are literally up to 20 points. That's the highest that they can go compared
It's
to anything over here. So,
it's weak.
and we've both only got one uh pick in there. I want to say right there.
Yeah. Well, you guys do have the most. There's you again, and then I think you have one like super late. No, maybe I'm wrong. Oh, there's that.
3. My God, do we have 4 seventh round picks? Hang on.
It's type it in right here. PIT.
Oh my
Three.
my, we have 3.
I can't believe
So
they
yeah,
line up like that across the board. That's kind of odd.
we would have a bunch of little throwaway picks here in the back half, but like most of those are probably going to be, take a shot on a receiver, see whoever's there, that kind of shit. So
Yeah. So we'll do that. Um, and I think we'll just go for it.
works for me.
So
Let's see how this first five goes, because it seems to be different every time we do it.
I have it on fast though, so we'll kind of just blast through it. Fuck the trades. Um,
David Bailey did not go. That is big.
Everything I keep seeing is that the Titans are gonna take
Love it.
Jeremiah
Tight.
Love,
Eh,
and uh, especially with this trade happening, and now the Giants are gonna be up ahead at 10 here. It's gonna change up. I definitely think, but if the Browns do pick here, I really just think
there's
it's
not much to get him to change off a Tate, to be
no,
honest.
exactly, and it's like who does what where, and I love all three wide receivers. I think they all bring something to the table, but I think it would just be insane not to take Carnell Tate here. So I'm taking Carnell Tate again. I've done a couple of these, and I always end up on him.
Ooh,
Oh, there's your boy.
Bono. My.
So for the people who are
Those
just listening,
receivers
we're
took the
scrolling
hit.
through this mock draft, and we're on pick. We're on Steelers first round
20.
pick, number 20.
Man, that's tough. I guess I gotta take Caden Proctor here.
You son of a bitch. I love taking Caden Proctor right there. I think that's a great pick for you guys. Um, and that's where now we have to go what's available. And I really do like Caleb Lomu. That is
Got a lot of versatility there.
probably going to be my pick there because I have him as one of my backups there. I think he's a great run blocker. Um, some people don't think he's the best on the pass rush, but it kind of just depends on who's asking, really. I think
I mean,
a
it's a
great tackle
size.
right there. I would have wanted Caden Proctor myself, but if push comes to shove, I would not cry about taking Caleb Lomu here at 26. And now we get our second rounder. Now, this is where I like to think about how I like to double up.
Denzel Boston's still sitting
He
up there staring at us.
and he is usually my first look for if you doubled up on wide receiver. I know you have your slight gripes about Denzel Boston, but I like his body size. People keep comparing him to Puka, and he's got great get off speed. But the other option here is we go corner, and you get one of, if not the best corners in the draft outside of Caleb Downs, and that's Avion Terrell, who he is really on the getting the ball out. He wants to force fumbles. He likes to really be physical with his receivers that he goes against. I think that him being here at 32, he's pretty much my flip when it comes to corner because I want to see on here. There are a lot of great corners available. I have Traden Stukes being a possibility
Yeah.
here. I feel like it's still pretty a big reach here, um, but and
You know
Brandon,
what's wild here? So Stukes in the combine database and all that stuff, they had him as like a DB, like cornerback slash safe, because he's played so much around.
yeah.
And I looked into him a
Well,
little
he
bit
has
more, and I was like,
six
ah,
years. He has
yeah,
6 years
he's
of college
a big dude.
career. And I think that's the
So
reason is because he's very good in the zone and is very
mhm.
good at being a ball tracker that they have him in this cornerback safety area. I have him in my if he's available in the third round picking him, but I'm going to take Avion Terrell because Colton Hood also isn't here. And as much as I liked him and Brandon, is it Kisei or I don't even know how to pronounce
I
his
believe
name.
it's Kisei.
Yeah, Brandon Kisei from South Carolina. I like him. I think he is a good corner, but and D'Angelo Pons is also very good. but I am definitely going with Avion Terrell.
I do like the Font. That's
And
one of the few that I do like.
and now your pick 53 in round two.
All
Um,
right. Hmm.
it just
There's
depends on
my
what.
boy.
Oh, Jacob
My boy is
Rodriguez.
still
Yep.
here.
Yep. At linebacker. He could still be
Um,
there. I just don't see him sliding that far.
Probably not. So
Ooh, there's big boy Ted Hurst.
Elijah Surratt's still here. Malachi Fields is still here. Deshaun Stribling, we've been linked to him. So I'm probably not going to take a receiver here. Still quite a few guards. So,
And my guard's late. My
we're taking best player available here. And I think it's probably going to be a receiver. So that way I can double dip.
I understand.
Um,
Do you reach? I wouldn't really call it a reach. Do you take Elijah Surratt? I mean, really great team.
so
He is
I
very
would
reliable.
say I'll pass on Surratt here. I think I'm going to take.
Hard,
Okay.
hard pause.
The only reason why I'm tossed up here is because Zachariah Branch just got arrested.
I did see that.
So I don't see him necessarily getting drafted here in the second or third, maybe, unless that gets completely tossed out. So I would like to see this guy stay here and then me get him later, because the last one I think we got him at like the back end of the third. um, but in that case, we're
That was lovely.
probably gonna go.
Well, there's my boy Sam Hecht. If he is still available, round
Go
4, I'm
Keelan
taking him.
Rutledge, just because they're linked to him. They have the meetings with him and all that.
All right, pick 70. So pick 70. Here's where I actually took Stukes, in my draft, but I had taken Denzel Boston prior, and sadly he's not even here anymore. I do like D'Angelo Ponce. He is a backup there, but I don't need a corner at this point, especially taking Avion Terrell. Um, so then comes my question of like, do I take a a receiver here?
Avion Chris Bell went right after Avion Terrell. I like him a lot too. It's
Um,
kind of crazy.
if the Browns want to be a little bit more competitive, oh man, wow, they took my boy Sam Hecht already.
Jake Slaughter and Bo Stevens aren't too bad.
No, and that's
Bo Stevens is actually who I probably would have taken if neither Pregnon or Rutledge was there.
yeah, I think just because I like the guy and I think he would be a great addition, doubling up on wide receiver, I think I'm going to take Elijah Surratt here at 76, just because we need it. You know,
May the mock draft gods keep him on the board. They do bring him home.
Zachariah Branch comes to you. Um,
And let's see.
oh boy,
Skylar Bell's not too bad. Malik Muhammad they're linked to, but I don't think I want a corner necessarily. Not right now, at least. Mm, hmm.
you have some options.
Ooh. Harold Perkins is another one that's been linked to us, which I don't necessarily like him. I feel like his frame is a little bit light. Um, so they would definitely be probably playing him off ball.
I think that might be your guys' best pick is Malik Muhammad.
That's kind of what I'm leaning towards here.
Terrell Jackson
Caleb Proctor?
Jr. Oh, I hope no one makes that mistake. Don't be
Oops. And I'm going to go on ahead and say probably, well, hang on. Let's look at these receivers one last time.
Deshaun Stribling.
Hmm. Skylar Bell.
Ooh, he takes Skylar Bell. Damn. Another third round pick for the Steelers.
Bring him to me, and then you know what? We'll get him as well.
All right. Now at 4107, this is where in my first looks I took Sam Hecht, which sadly he is not here. There's Jake Slaughter. I would like them to get a decent and Bo Stevens too. Um, I would like to see them get a guard of some kind here, just because they need it, and I don't think you're desperate on defensive lineman enough to get a defensive lineman at this point. Um, so
They just end up being depth,
yeah,
maybe a depth guy.
exactly. So I'm probably gonna settle on Bo Stevens over Jake Slaughter. Um,
Bo Stevens is going to give you exactly what you need.
exactly. Yeah, I'd rather have somebody who is just very consistent here.
Big
Um,
old corn fed, bring them on the motion, the power, and just dump somebody off. Oh yeah.
Now you got
Oh yeah.
121. Oh boy.
Jeff
Too bad.
Caldwell's just sitting here. Bring him home.
And another at pick 135. The Steelers go again. Goodness.
Uh, ooh. I want to do that. Okay. Our safeties are tore through. That's fair. I was looking at Genesis Smith. That's a possibility. But um what round is this? 4? I don't think there'd be anything wrong with taking either of these Washington boys. I really like both of them. Um so what? I took tackle guard, receiver, double receiver.
You've already doubled up on receiver. You got a corner.
And there's nobody in here. I'm not caring for that. Maybe Jack Kelly later. We are going to take Tacario Davis, the fourth there.
I finally get a pick at 146.
Hey,
Um,
look, you got another one.
I,
He's coming right up
I
here
do
in the
get
back
I
end.
do get to double up there, and there's a lot of cool things I could get here. Um, oh goodness, there are. I don't even want to think about. I don't need a running back.
And them
There's
safeties are dry.
yeah, there is nothing here that I want at safety. Um, there's the edge situation though. I really do like Anthony Lucas, and Trey Moore. I mean, anything out of that Texas defense was pretty fun to look at.
Bro.
Um,
He drafted his brother.
yeah,
That's something we would do.
I think we go edge. I do really like Caden Curry though. Do think edge is probably the best option here, and especially with what's sitting back here. I mean, no need to double up on that. Um, I think we just go Anthony
Unless you wanted
Lucas.
to bring in more corners to your DB room.
Yeah, but really,
Thaddeus
Dixon.
Dixon's
Yeah,
too
I was
bad.
looking at him from NC.
Lorenzo
Um,
Styles, Mari Harvey. I mean, just a lot of these are references. Of people that you like or people you don't like.
I think I'm gonna go edge here, and then since I get to double up,
What's the
ooh,
quarterback room look like? What do we got? Who we got on the?
it's
Got Taylor Green
nothing.
still. All right.
Ooh.
Hmm. Interesting.
Oh,
You
dude,
get
you get
Diego Pavia.
Diego Pavia, the midget. Um,
He gets sent to Cleveland and then he gets arrested before he even makes it to the stadium.
I think I actually take lineman here with my last pick because I think this is my last one before. Yeah, this is my last one before the end of the draft.
Should be, yeah.
I think I'm actually gonna go lineman, and I'm gonna take Xavier Harris. I think that's probably your best bet. I'm gonna steal him from your board.
Bring the old Miss Boy home.
I kept looking at tight end stuff, but there was no tight ends that really jumped out at me here. Jack Kelly,
Go
he's
ahead and
there.
take Jack
He
Kelly there
takes
with the
Jack
last one.
Kelly, and all right. So, oof. I don't know why they hated the Elijah Surratt pick, but I got
They didn't like
decent
him or
grades.
Bo Stevens. I was surprised Bo Stevens was even on the board that late.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Carnell Tate and whoever's available at tackle, it's great picks. Avion Terrell, great corner. If I could have gotten Traden Stukes at some point, it would have been cool too. Either of them I think are great in that, you know, round 2, 3, maybe even 4 area. I doubt any of them would ever slide that far, but you never know. At pick 70, Elijah Surratt getting really pandered by this thing here. Or panned. I don't know why it didn't like that. I like doubling up there. And the
I
Bo
just don't
Stevens
think
pick.
that they're as high on Surratt as everybody else. Because I feel like all of the Indiana receivers didn't really get a whole lot of a fair shake here just because of Mendoza.
Oh yeah, and I
So,
mean obviously he is the star of the game, and I think that's a good thing for the Raiders to get a hold of. But my last picks are kind of just best player available, obviously, and that's sometimes what just happens. Anthony
right.
Lucas, if we could get him, that would be insane to have him, flipping the other side of the line. Xavier Harris, I don't know a whole lot about him. I've seen a little bit of his footage, but overall, I think I would be content with this draft happening if it did happen. On your
I think
guys'
it'd be
side
a
of the
healthy
ball,
draft.
obviously, Caden Proctor, you're a son of a bitch. If that happened, I would cry a lot if this does happen for some reason.
I bet you Pittsburgh, if this was their draft, they would still get a whole ton of shit just because they went offensive lineman in the first two here.
Well, and then again, no
Um,
trades at all is a weird thing to go through, especially with you guys. There's
right.
bound to be something middle or late happening. Here's how many fives did you guys have?
Uh, a lot.
So you got 1 5, 1 6, and 3 7s,
3 sevens,
and you have two
two
fours.
fours, and three
I
thirds.
mean, bundling this, or even like going
This
across this
it's
far.
when the third starts to the fourth. Right there. That little run is just so beefy with the players that we can pick. And there's a lot of, I guess, up in the airness of how the board falls.
I could see you guys
So
trading some stuff to get a little higher up to pick somebody you really, really see that you really, really want, and you're worried about somebody taking.
mm.
Um, it definitely did not like your end of your draft. You got a lot more. Your beginning of your draft. I think it likes a little bit more than mine. Um,
So Jeff Caldwell right here genuinely might not even have a roster spot by the end of the year, or even by the start of the year. Um, the only reason why I took him is because he came to see us in the pre-drafts, and he absolutely destroyed the combine. So he literally like was a no-namer, and then he went to the combine and became somebody.
and some
So the
kinds of people
fact
do
that
that.
he slipped, yeah, the fact he slips to 121, that's basically a steal. I'm running. I don't care if he works or not. You know. Um, Same kind of thing with Tacario Davis. He's just a really, really big frame corner. Him and both Price Ox from Washington are kind of the same deal, but Tacario's a little bit more agile, whereas Price Ox is a little bigger, a little more lean. So went with him to maybe smother in there with Jamel Dean, JPJ, and all that stuff going on. And
I,
then Jack Kelly is just pretty much another linebacker to try and maybe take Cole Holcomb's spot. Uh, if anybody else gets injured in our defensive line or linebacker room, I mean, I don't see Patrick Queen staying there maybe past this season. So eventually we'll either get somebody to fill that spot or maybe it might be Jack Kelly.
well, I think it's interesting how heavy you went on like the defensive back side of this. Like all of your defensive players were backs, and
Hmm.
definitely the Malik Muhammad. I saw that coming a mile away. I think he's a great corner. If he was there for us, I would take him. Um, Overall, I wouldn't be upset with either of these drafts. Really, I mean, I think um, there's a lot that could change though. If we want to talk
Sure.
about these trade possibilities, um, I really think that we should pick at 6, but if Dallas comes at us with just some stupid deal, I mean they've got a lot of capital they can just throw at us, and they haven't done anything in the offseason. I mean, Jerry Jones has been panned, just critically panned by everybody on his lack of doing anything. So he likes to make a big splash in big ways. I mean, the Micah thing and um, signing Dak Prescott to stupid money. He
Hmm.
he likes to make those big moments, and so I could very well see him wanting to move up. I mean, it's 6 positions, but if for some reason Tennessee doesn't draft Jeremiah Love, I see them wanting to snatch him up faster than anything. Um, Past that,
Actually, as far as I've seen, and not to sorry to cut you off
yeah,
there, but I was seeing a lot of the Dallas like beat reporters were saying that they kind of are grasping at straws at middle linebacker, and they think that Sonny Styles could be the person to fill that.
that
So
is.
that seems to be the one they're trying to trade up and snatch.
I could see that.
Um, it's just a matter of whether he's going to go to the Giants or not,
Yeah.
because we'll have to see how those first 4 picks really fall.
Yeah, and obviously, I think we obviously all know what's happening at 1.
Right.
Um,
Um, I've seen a lot of people saying the David Bailey
yeah,
canceling his trip to the Jets or whatever could be a smokescreen, could be real, but um, within the last few days, I could see Reese probably going to the Jets,
yeah,
and then Bell maybe going to Arizona if they don't take somebody else like Sonny Styles.
yeah.
But it's just it's names flipped between all of the teams.
Where do you think Caleb Downs goes?
It is possible he goes to Arizona there. It's possible he goes to say maybe New Orleans.
Yeah, that's pretty
I,
much what I
I
know.
don't think that Washington would pick him genuinely.
They have other problems.
There's too many other problems in order to just sit there and take best player available. That would be idiotic in my mind. But I'm not a Washington fan,
Yeah, I
so.
I don't know what they're thinking in the moment. I mean, I like their coach. I like their quarterback.
And I mean, their
And
coach is defensive minded, so it wouldn't be necessarily, you know, mind blowing if they took Caleb Downs just as a piece to throw on that defense, but that's like throwing cilantro on the plate, not having a dish on it.
yeah,
You know.
and they've been burned by best defensive player available before with Chase Young.
Hmm.
And as much as I loved, Chase Young when he was drafted, I mean, one injury
Wow,
later,
wouldn't
he
that be ironic? An Ohio State guy going to
to
Washington.
Washington and not hitting where he needs to hit. I don't think Caleb Downs is not going to hit where he needs to hit. I think he is that guy. But what could happen?
No, right. I definitely think that he's a great player, but he's a safety. You know, when you're a player that's literally the farthest away from the ball at all times, almost, it's kind of tough to make an impact unless you wait for the offense to try and make a play first.
Oh, for
So
sure. Um, yeah, I couldn't tell you what happens after that. And I know there's a lot of talks of Kansas City possibly trading up to take over Arizona's spot. That has been huge in these last few days. Um, Outside of that, I don't really see anybody else doing like a super major trade up. Um,
I definitely think that us or Dallas could both try and trade up into at least the top 10. Um, but it would be a matter of what they give up for it. And there's a lot of people that are saying that Pittsburgh might have to give up their second round pick in order to do it. I would refuse. I would not give up my second round pick in order to move up 10 picks in the draft.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. And especially, it's like, who would you trade with? New Orleans, Washington.
Right.
I think they're more desperate to get a player than to try to fleece you guys out of picks. Miami, but I think Miami needs help a lot of help, to be honest. I mean, they got two first rounders too, but
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, the Giants just got that pick. I don't see them trading 10 away immediately. Um, I don't know. I think it is going to be a very interesting draft. I think Thursday can't come sooner. I really just
Yeah,
want to
I'm
see
definitely stoked.
just what happens in the first 10, let alone these 32 picks. Um,
Well, and that's kind of the whole thing, you know. Normally, for the last couple of years, you could kind of look at least like roughly the top 10 to 12 and go, okay, well they need this. You can go here, here, and here,
yeah,
you know, that kind of stuff. But like for this year, it's literally like we just said, the top six, and then after that, it's like, well, Washington could get whatever, or New Orleans could go this route, or
Washington
someone could
could
trade up.
Washington could really use a wide receiver that isn't old and fat.
Yeah, just draft Makai Lemon and have him literally replace Debo Samuels.
Yeah, and like, I think they really could use some help on running back. I mean, I think Bill deserves a chance, but I didn't see anything out of him last year that made me jump at oh my God, he's gonna be the next guy. Like, I don't know.
I don't see him being a four down back in this league. Not with that frame.
Yeah, exactly. And then it just kind of becomes whatever at this point. I mean, I'm not super ingrained in the goings on of Minnesota or Carolina. I think Carolina's got a lot of good wide receiver talent, and so I could see them going for, I don't know, Jonathan Brooks kind of sucks. Do you get a running back early, or do you get, I mean, I don't think there's anybody else that's worthy in the first round for running back
Well,
outside of
and
Jeremiah Love.
I'm looking here at Dallas on the board here with their pick at 12 and they have their pick at 20. So depending on what happens, say Sonny is off the board and they pretty much get screwed out. Um, that was the setup that I had seen a video talking about this situation. Dude was talking about a Cowboys beat writer about this, and pretty much they got down to 12 and they were like, all right, cool, so who are you going to take? And he was like, well, the top option that most of the people have is Keldrick Falk, which is like an edge guy from, I think, Auburn maybe, but like he is very simple. He's not a guy that you would realistically take at 12, so they might try and trade back
Back.
from 12 if it just falls and it's shit. In that situation, we've got an 800 round or an 800 point pick going into 1200. We could very easily probably give them our first round pick and Alex Highsmith and move up to 12. And I would not be surprised if they did that and tried to take one of the guards, tried to take a Vega Ioni, or maybe even Malachi or Makai Lemon if he's still on the board. But that's the game you play when you start bringing up trades. It starts getting messy. You don't know who's on the board. You don't know what could happen.
Well,
But that's really not that far fetched.
and everybody wants to make their, like, oh, trade that could totally happen.
Right.
Browns trade away their entire lineage for two 2028 first round picks. Like,
For four quarterbacks.
yeah, exactly. People come up with some interesting things. I like to be a little bit more grounded and realistic about it. And
Sure.
really, the Dallas trade is the only one I could really see happening. There's a chance I've heard a little bit of strummings around the Rams also wanting to move up,
Mhm.
but you don't know. I think someone was talking about this is Joe Burrow's last hurrah, and one of the teams that they were throwing out there was the Rams being the home for Joe Burrow after this. You don't know what's going to happen with Matt. You don't know what's going on really in Cincinnati at all. I mean, Cincinnati is a weird, weird place at the moment. I don't.
Cincinnati's sitting at that peak of the mountain, waiting to tip it over for their
Yeah,
cap.
they are broke. They are now pickless. You know, you let your one guy go just to, you let an edge go to get a defensive tackle. I mean, I think Dexter Lawrence is going to be a great player for them, but
No, I mean really that is a hell of a view into the mindset of the Bengals, GMs is that they let go of their top edge rusher that gets sacks and they signed a defensive tackle. Led the league in sacks, but uh he's a defensive tackle.
yeah.
You kind of didn't really fix your problem, you just moved your problem.
Well, and something
And
I
then you
think is
signed him to an
interesting.
extension afterward and lost your pick.
So we back in the day traded for Odell and gave the Giants the pick that got them Dexter Lawrence. And now, all of those years later, the Giants have traded away Dexter Lawrence and are getting more for that pick. And who really came out on top of that's got to be, I mean, the Giants really. I mean, they took our best safety and left us in the hands of Andrew Sendejo at safety. Um, Odell Beckham was just a problem. And
Hashtag a liability at
oh
safety.
yeah, yeah. Grant Delpit was supposed to
Oh,
be the man, and sadly he tore his Achilles right at the start. And it just that one hurts. That one hurts to even think about how just messed up that whole situation was. But
of course, injuries are always
messy.
even though we are rivals, we see stuff from opposing sides. Injuries are never good. You don't want to see anybody go down because that kind of takes away from the love of football.
Oh yeah,
Um,
exactly. As
but
much as I could be mad at things like the Nick Chubb injury, nobody's going out of their way to try to end somebody's season, if not career.
all
You
right,
can't. You just can't
and it's
believe
like
what somebody's doing. You're not in their head.
historically that has opened up the door for a lot of different people and I hate using this argument because technically it does kind of go against us, but like one of the years where we ended up going to the Super Bowl and winning was one of the years that Brady I think blew his ACL out or like got hurt for most of the year, so like he wasn't in New England playing for New England, which opened the door for us to get into the AFC seeds and kind of not have to go through Foxborough. But um that happens sometimes
Yeah.
in the sport where the best guy that plays ball might not be there and then that team isn't good anymore. And that's just how that year goes. So
I mean,
it's
I mean,
ball.
look at the Chiefs. I mean, they weren't the Chiefs that everybody knows this year. And then Patrick blows out his ACL. It's like that's tough.
hmm Definitely a hell of a loss.
And what did it lead to? It led to the Broncos getting there, and then same thing. The Broncos, they're on their way. They would have whopped
I
the
think they probably would have been the
Patriots.
favorites. Yeah, for sure.
They would have whopped the Patriots, but Bo Nix destroys his ankle instead somehow. And then we
On
have
literally the most throwaway play too.
yeah.
Didn't even look like it was all that bad.
And then it led to what at first looked like it was going to be an amazing game to being a weather warning slog of a football game, and the Patriots limp to the playoffs and ultimately get swallowed
Dog
by
walked in the
the
Super Bowl.
by Seattle, which I mean we both expected that. I mean,
Yeah.
but and I don't think a lot of people other than Patriots fans really expected anything different. I mean, it was Patriots had
Mm.
a decent defense and a good offense. The Seattle Seahawks had a scary defense and offensive player of the year.
I would say in a
And
stellar offense that
a
was
truly
going
stellar offense
crazy.
led by a guy who people had written off 3 years ago. And, I still think Minnesota was idiotic for letting Sam Darnold walk away And I mean, I don't think this JJ McCarthy thing's really going to pan out. And that's another one. Joe Burrow, people are like, oh, he could go to Minneapolis. He could play with his other LSU boy.
All right. Here, let's look one thing up here, just out of curiosity. Let's look up the contract for Sam Darnold that he got when he went to Seattle out of Minnesota, and we'll compare that to what Malik Willis just got to go to Miami.
So, and now Sam's has these like all these clauses and stuff. And
Sure.
so like when he went
As a
into
quarterback, if you
this,
play better, you should get more money. If you have like a completion bonus or something like that, that's entirely fair. Your incentives are where your money should be made.
so he made 5.3 with 6.4 signing, and he had some incentives in there, and obviously he hit them.
Right.
Now this next year he's getting nearly triple that. He's going from base salary 5.3 to 12.3. His signing bonus is still the same, obviously, because I think it came from that same deal,
Hmm.
obviously. He gets a $15 million roster bonus. That means if he's on the roster, he's getting that. Um, and he's now a 37.9, practically $38 million cap hit. You can't get rid of it. That's all dead cap if you try to get rid of it. But now there's this weird opt out year
Right.
that comes in 2027, which you could just say, yeah, we got our guy somehow. Um, he's coming in. You're just gonna, we just let you walk, and you're only taking. I mean, you're taking nearly 20 million in dead cap, but is that better than the $69 million you're taking in that
I was
asset?
gonna say it's a lot better than that though. That's way better than that number.
Yeah, you keep him around, and he's just going to do his thing for the next year. Now, your other idea was the Malik Wills.
Yes.
Um,
The contract that he just got to go to Miami. A lot of people were saying like,
it's
okay, it's
it's
basically a
is it
1 year
ES
deal.
or is it
Should be IS,
Malik Willis? Yeah, you're right. I'm on
maybe.
stupid pills, I think. All right, we're just gonna do this. Yep, it's IS. Hello, Sport Track.
There
Sport
we go.
Track is awesome.
Okay.
He's cheaper.
Oh, of course he's much cheaper. He didn't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, obviously. But that base salary right there, I mean, he's worth nothing. Signing bonus was pretty decent. It's the fact of like he got this.
He's getting
Damn,
his
that
1 year
dead cat.
deal, and then he's got another little potential out in 2028. So they'll give him a little bit of time to work, and it'll be way less. And then the rest of it's void. It's
Yeah.
just fucking void year.
The
You
fact
know?
is he has no physical cap hit this year. But then the problem is we're missing the.
Oh God.
This is the problem. Is how much money is being taken from the Dolphins at this point. So the same year, Malik is getting paid 1.2 million with a 4.5 almost signing bonus. That same time, well, I guess
That's
he's not really taking any money from
gonna say
Miami.
they're not gonna continue to pay him. I
Yeah,
think that's why they ended up cutting him or whatever it was, so that way it would free that up.
yeah. I thought he was still on the hook for a little bit. Nope. But I guess they're kind of splitting it. Okay. So they're on the hook for $39 million of that contract.
Eh, overall, I guess that's not too bad. I mean, the Falcons are definitely getting out of it or getting the most out of it, but it's Tua, so you don't really have to worry all that much.
Yeah, that helps the Malik Willis thing. Just like, oh yeah, this dude's not getting paid shit. Tua is still eating a lot
But
of cap.
my whole
$54
argument going into it,
million
though,
dollars.
is Malik hasn't done shit.
No,
He hasn't done shit, and he's getting that contract of money. Whereas Darnold really before this season, before he had that one season with Minnesota, he didn't really do shit.
Yeah, and it's like,
Kind of in the same spot. Malik Willis is one season away from possibly getting the Sam Darnold treatment and
and,
getting that.
and he got a tenor. I mean, he
Right.
he got a chunk of change. But like, look, Sam Darnold got more money than Malik Willis did. Well, pretty much the same money
Barely.
actually. But that was 3 years ago, and he didn't see play. You know?
Wasn't worthy of playing. He wasn't doing nothing.
No, he wasn't. He was just doing analytics, and then suddenly he goes here, shows up, and then continued to do it. And he won the damn Super Bowl. So
Well, and when you build a roster around contracts like this, you win. You just win
when you pay
because
$10 million for a random quarterback, yeah, I definitely would say that.
it's basically like building your roster out of rookies, but
Yeah,
he just never became anything, so they treated him like a rookie and then he did well.
yeah. I think he definitely made his mark. Um, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens on Thursday. It's only Monday, so we'll cry about that later.
I am sure there will be more trades and magic and hoopla before Thursday even starts, so we'll have to see.
Yep, and I think it'll give us plenty to talk about next week. But I think that's it for us. So thank you guys for joining us on Opposing Sides. Like I said, I'm Sam and that's Matt, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night.
Y'all take it easy.